what is the power of social media like right now? And did you think, like, what are your thoughts on that whole case there?
Facebook and Meta as a overall company has majority of the world at their fingertips, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an unbelievably powerful beat.
You're amazing. I've done a lot of interviews, just, a little feedback. You're a great interviewer too.
Never lose that magic, Jeff.
Welcome to the Make More Money podcast. It's Jeff J here to make your day. Literally, this podcast was started for you to literally know the tips from my connection of my network to make more money and really just change your life. People have changed my life. I've brought on here, and we've brought on life changers. I'm bringing on today one of the person who put me on my first class plane. I toured his studio, his office, which was one of the best offices in Saul. He built his culture, and it inspired me on a day. He's exited SaaS companies. He has great ethics and values. I love just hanging out with this guy, so I just am very blessed to have him on. It's Devin Johnson of Sales.ai, and I'm also going to get into more personal questions than we do mostly. We're going to talk some AI as well. Today, I want to let you know about our sponsor. Our sponsor is sponsored by the Move Miami. I'm in Midtown Miami, and the Move Miami, if you need a podcast to be shot on, check out the Move. All the greatest celebrities, influencers, entrepreneurs are there, including myself. We're on location here at an event. And with that said, Devin Johnson, how you doing today, sir?
How's it going, Jeff?
Good.
It is salesai.com.
Salesai.com. Oh, so you actually bought. By the way, did you have to buy that?
Yes.
So you did. What was the ticket price on that? Was that a lot?
They were asking $100,000, and we ended up paying $27,000.
Damn. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, because it is key. It's still key these days to still get a .com, right?
Yeah, our last tech business, we had .io, and that's trendy, and a lot of people know it, but it still was a gap. .io, do you mean .com? And there was a connected.com as well, the same way we spelled it. So we wanted to, with Sales AI, we wanted to make sure we had the .com, and so just took a good swipe of the credit card.
Yeah, no, I hear that. No, I used to buy a lot of .coms, like waiting them to switch them and try and flip Instagram pages, right? You ever do any of that?
No.
Yeah, you don't need to do that if you're focused on one thing. So let me get into this though. Before we get into actually salesai.com and what you're building, I want to go really back into the first time I met you. Mm-hmm. I was on my first class flight. Mm-hmm. Flew me out, put me out in there, and that was when you had your SaaS company connected. Mm-hmm. And I saw the culture. I saw how you lead it. I still remember you sketching down a blueprint. I have a screenshot of exactly what to do. And let me talk about that. What was the main reason why you flew me out to that? Why? Because people always ask, and I was like, well, why are you getting flown? So why did that happen?
Yeah, I bet on people, right? And any great entrepreneur, there's an army behind them. And, I felt like you had the secret sauce, the it factor, right? And you were making a transition or trying to make a transition, full-time entrepreneurship from, your sales role back in the day. And I wanted to show you that you could do it. And if a guy like me can figure it out, a guy like Jeff that's way smarter and, way ahead of the game in many aspects than me can also do it, And so sometimes it takes just a shove off of a cliff, and I felt like if I could get you out to the office to show you, that time we probably had 140 employees and, had the grandiose headquarters and all the cool things, right? But to give you a behind the scenes look and, put you on that flight, et cetera, to just show you that people can believe in you. And that's what I believe kickstarts a lot of great entrepreneurs and business people. So that's why I did it. I thought you had it.
Yeah, and by the way,
and you do, right?
Yeah.
You're crushing it now, right?
And it was a big reason. You were a big reason of changing my life for that reason. You put me up in the Omni Hotel, which prior then I had a girlfriend that I paid for a Valentine's Day, the most expensive time, that broke my heart at Omni Hotel. So you created a new memory with that. So anytime I see it, and I think all the greats say when you have a bad memory, create a new memory. And when I saw it, I actually really had self-reflection, because at the time I had a SaaS company that I was trying to fund. I was selling Windows, putting all the money into the software company, as you know, pitching to VCs. And I saw that if I actually focused on one thing like you guys did, and also what I saw was the leadership by you and the culture. And I knew I wasn't the leader that I needed. So even if I did focus on it, I didn't have that fortitude. And that actually got me, when I left, it got me to read books about leadership and go into leadership, because I saw what a great servant leader you were, and you are clearly today. So that definitely was a change. It's so cool to have you back here, because it comes full circle. It did give me the motivation to do exactly what that is. And I still remember connecting with, and we have a lot of same read on some people, being in, you let us go and mastermind in the same room, and we were going over copy prospecting scripts together, right? Like that. And it was just really cool to go over that stuff, really for the benefit of the company. All right, but let's talk about, because it did intimidate me. I went out to the software and I saw you had 140 employees, beautiful podcast studio, the whole deal. And I thought, man, I'm never going to get here, right? But then you told me, tell me about your first entrepreneur hustle. Because back in the day, mine was a lemonade stand. I was always, pitching something. What was your first entrepreneur hustle when you started?
Yeah, so I got started by reselling sneakers. So high-end shoes like Nikes, Jordan, Yeezys. And that was when I was 15. Growing up, mom and dad were never married. We had two different households. And my dad was more of the hustler, and he was a street guy, right? He made money however he could get his hands on, but he was also a sneaker collector. And so every birthday, Christmas, special occasion, etc., it was always Jordans and rare Jordans at that. So I knew they had value, and a big life event happened when I was 15. My sister got diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer, and my dad was strung out at the time, unfortunately, and disappeared out of my mom's life to help financially while my sister was fighting for her life. And so I took the shoes that he had bought me over time. I sold them on Craigslist. Maybe people listening don't know what that is. That was Facebook Marketplace before Facebook Marketplace, okay? Craigslist was the OG Facebook Marketplace. And so I sold my collection, about $2,000 to work with. And then I started flipping shoes by finding them on Craigslist and rinsing and repeating. And then that transpired into renting out VFWs, which a VFW is just a very cheap venue. Like, you can rent one for like $400. Every city has one. It's Veterans something Foundation. It's like, you go in there, they serve fried chicken, they gamble in the back.
You do bachelor parties there and stuff, too. I still remember a bachelor party that we went to, and it was a bunch of hit kids, and they got in trouble for, like, harassing somebody, and there was a huge fight, and I got in the middle of it.
Yeah, it was, sounds like a Jeff thing.
Yeah, it was, there's always a story, and there's something exciting there. But so you went from the sneakers, right, and flipping that. And by the way, that's the one thing I want to say to you is, like, the fact that you overcame so much, broken family, right, all this stuff there. Sister, obviously I lost my mom to cancer, right, and we all go through things in life.
Sure.
But you didn't, like, and you're resourceful, like, to actually, so your dad gave you sneakers, you sold a gift that he gave you. So kind of what I was thinking about doing with the Versace sunglasses that I just got gifted, right, which I got to find them to give them out. So so fast forward then, so now you're how did you get into the whole tech business?
Yeah, so kind of throughout high school, I ran the events, and I learned how to build websites, and I learned how to market on social media. And if you Google Indy All-Star Sneaker Expo, that was my biggest event in high school. It was my senior year of high school, and we had 4,000 people through the door and 120 vendors. But there's these old archived YouTube videos of me in my sneaker days if you make that Google search. But that was like my first, like, I feel like I can really do this, right? When I graduated high school, a little app came out called StockX, absolutely crushed the sneaker resale market. And my first big taste of adversity are market challenges, right? And there's some other factors, such as, like, brands not releasing shoes in stores anymore, only doing it online, and all these other variables that were totally out of my control, right? Again, just some more adversity for people to understand, like, you're going to get blindsided by so many different challenges. But I made a transition into building websites for small businesses, and the hustle of digital marketing, Google my business. Honestly, if you asked me to do it, I'd just try to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
I'd use Fiverr or like people helping people, or you know, time for bed.
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, time for bed.
It actually is, actually. Because I'm staying up late at this event here. I do go to bed pretty late. What time do you usually go to bed?
Like 9:30.
Yeah, see, it's 9:14, so we're staying up late night on the Make More Money podcast.
Yeah. This is late for sure.
Yeah.
But you know, from there in the digital marketing, I mean, that is just a grind.
Yeah.
Like people listening to this, digital marketing agency is just like a rabbit. Just a race, or a hamster wheel, not a rabbit wheel, a hamster wheel, right? It's like 20K a month, 0. 20K a month, 0. And then, you know, clients stick for 3-4 months. And it was just this grind that I just got tired of. And one of the things that always happened was I'd build a website for you and you'd be like, well, how do I get leads now, right? And if you didn't have a budget to run Facebook ads or SEO or, you know, a sustainable budget to be able to go to those types of sources, I didn't really have a good answer. And so I got hit with a Facebook ad back in the day, like before I knew all the marketing lingo and whatnot. But looking back on it, it was a VSL. It was VSL teaching you how to use LinkedIn. And I was like, holy cow, all of these decision makers are on LinkedIn and you can just message them? Like, what? You know? And
What year was this, by the way?
this was probably 2017.
Okay.
2018, the idea of Connected was born, and it was a real business by 2019 after getting scammed by some overseas developers, right?
Oh, good. We can connect on that.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
in my book. All right, we'll connect there.
Yeah, you know, a few $1,000s here or there, but that was a lot of money back then, you know. And,
Yeah, I hear that.
You know, getting started. So, you know, it was between that ad and that VSL and then watching some YouTube videos. Like Dan Martell was one of the early guys I watched a lot on What is SaaS. And it was really YouTube University for me that taught me SaaS and how to get into it, and taught me go to market, and taught me a lot of the pillars of making a successful SaaS company. Now, we had quick success with Connected. You know, in the first just under 90 days, we had over $1 million in revenue. It was the first time I'd ever made that type of money. And
yeah, that's amazing. By the way, I had success with a SaaS company. So at the same timeline, just so you know, at 2017, I went to an event. There's a kid that he sold how to fake your Instagram and buy fake followers. I decided not to do that, but I partnered with his partner, Ahmad, and we built out, you can Google it, Take Two Social. We white labeled a social. And what I got good at on Instagram was prospecting messages, right? Which was very similar to what Connected was, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, it was frowned upon because it wasn't the ad space too. But my point in saying that is at that time, we actually hired 2 coders on, one off freelancer.com, very talented coder, Russian guy, and he's the one who hacked and held it for ransom. But actually, one of the not connected guys, but one of the guys I met at an event, we backed up the software, technically still on equity, and it was called Postflow. But man, that was me pushing all my money into building it. So, right, paying everybody, just doing the whole realm. So,
that's a grind. And one thing we did right early on, and this is, you know, a piece of advice I'd give anyone listening, is we focused on selling without the product being perfect.
Yeah.
Now, did we have like customer issues in the early days? Of course, right? And did we make some over promises? Absolutely. But we had revenue to fix a lot of those problems, right? And a lot of people procrastinate. It's a tough word for me, but you know, delay starting because it's not perfect or it's not their full vision. And I mean, there was a point where our product was a hard file download, and it looked like I was stealing everything in your personal computer. We weren't, but what we were doing was hard installing the application to your browser so that it would fully function.
Yeah.
It was a Google terms as a service thing to where we got taken off the App Store, and we had to kind of deal with that adversity, right? And when we finally got it back on, but you know, we just kept pushing through it, right? And so it was about 2019 when things really started to take off, and we got rid of anything marketing agency related, and we went all in on this newfound industry and love that we call SaaS, right? Recurring revenue, and being able to make one thing and sell it thousands of times over and over. And you know, we scaled the business very, very rapidly. At its peak, you know, it was north of 15 million in recurring.
What was the biggest point in that SaaS company? Because I do remember you telling me something. I was like, oh, this is important. you said that the onboarding fee, and there was no negotiations. I remember you saying it because I could just tell it was the lifetime value of the customer. Do you remember what the onboarding fee was?
Yeah,
it was
$1,500.
$1,500.
Yeah,
$1,500. What was the psychology behind that of why the onboarding fee was that?
Two things. A lot of problems in business in general, but particularly the SaaS world, is you try to race to the bottom because you can sell the software over and over.
Right.
But you get a low tier buyer, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people will say this quote. I don't know where it originated from, but if you want to get rich, solve rich problems, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to put a value on your time, and you can't just be like a pushover and always be a rug. And so, after the getting a few testimonials and being cheap there, immediately went into, all right, we're going to make sure our time is paid for. Mm-hmm. And so the onboarding fee started at $250, and then it went to $500, and then it went to $750, and then the final price that we ended up sticking with was $14.97, mm-hmm. and it weeded out a lot of the small buyers that weren't serious and wasn't going to stay on the platform as is, but it also allowed us to scale revenues without doing a big capital raise to have real customer support. And so it was a true investment back into the business, mm-hmm. but a lot of people race to the bottom on fees because they don't understand the self-worth or the actual value of their time, and then they have a cash flow problem.
Yep.
Right? They don't. The number one metric in business, hands down, is CAC to LTV, and then mm-hmm. to go just a layer deeper is CAC to lifetime gross profit. Mm-hmm. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I would say forget anything else I say on this podcast. Go make that your first language, yep. right? And so if you're not managing those two metrics and doing it in a healthy manner meaning your customer acquisition costs to your lifetime gross profit, should be 3 to 5x, because you have margin for error to pay for customer service, refunds, customers that don't fulfill their contracts, so on and so forth. You'll never have I wouldn't say never, but you're less likely to have cash flow problems in a business, knowing that North Star metric and focusing on driving that level of cash flow and that level of financial structure from your pricing and your fees. Right?
Yeah, and I learned that back when I served and did Windows for JC Tenati, the window company, because I asked them, well, why are we charging so much for Windows and making a certain thing? And it was minimum we could do was 2.5, but he's like, no, it has to be 3 to that level, right? Mm-hmm. And it's everywhere. And it's funny because with our VA business that we have in the Philippines now, we did the same thing. We started off low, now we're $14.97 to onboard monthly, but we had the testimony videos to do it. So it's like the same process in anything. All right, well, let me ask this then, because so you're pretty aware with everything going on social media today, right?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of your job. So Facebook just came out, and this is the thing, Mark Zuckerberg, he came out and just admitted the fact that they basically have been rigging the whole election for the Democratic knowledge. What is the power of social media like right now, and do you think, what are your thoughts on that whole case there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason the government deemed Meta as a monopoly, right? They can't make X amount of acquisitions, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, Facebook and Meta as a overall company has majority of the world at their fingertips, right? Yeah. I mean, it's an unbelievably powerful beast that, has been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into that platform. But, I think Mark did a very smart thing getting ahead of it, right? I'd rather own my mistakes publicly before someone else can go out there and say I was making these mistakes. And so, I think he did possibly the best move that he could do in being able to hold his reputation and integrity, right? But, Facebook is one of the most powerful platforms and companies in the entire world, right? And so being able to, I think both sides of the fence gained a lot of respect from, publicly admitting it.
Yeah. So, and the reason why I asked that, because we were talking down at dinner tonight about that, about actually owning your mistakes, getting behind it, right? Because that's what builds character. And I said, I like Mark, right? I would have Mark Zuckerberg on because when Peter Thiel endorsed Trump, and Mark Zuckerberg Trump got shot recently. He said, "Hey, Trump look like a badass doing that." It made me see, and I said this to you by just being in the tech world. It was like he's just a tech guy, right? Mm-hmm. He just wants to do the right thing, and the government. If you watch, did you watch the Facebook documentary where they did that? Yeah. So you can see how he was just. Just doing his thing to charm it, but wants to just keep his company is really the thing, right? For it's out. And what's your take on him going to Meta? Because right now, he took all his eggs in the basket and went to Meta. What's your take on that? With the future on that?
I think it was a play to be able to be all encompassing in their vision. Being able to bring together, the full spectrum of social networking. True, platforms like Llama and language models like Llama. I think it's just a more all-inclusive brand and umbrella to be able to drive forward the innovation and overall direction that they're wanting to go from a company perspective, right? Do I love the name personally? No, but I think it was smart to be able to throw a good umbrella that is easy to say. Like, it's Meta, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's easy, right?
Yeah. So, and more what I'm saying is I believe we're one, just like what COVID happened, one massive adoption from some crisis to happening, from all going into metaverse, all doing it. It's all there. The technology's all there. Yeah. And with AI and being an AI enthusiast that I am, so you exit Connected, right? At that point. Mm-hmm. And so what was the point? How did salesai.com, how did that get started? Where did this go?
Yeah, so what we did was we sold off the book of business underneath Connected. So in all technicalities, right, we actually still own the brand name Connected, but we sold the platform with the LinkedIn piece and all of the customers, and we sold that book to a company in Canada. So we kept the umbrella Connected and its infrastructure. And about 2 years ago, we started developing what we now call salesai.com. But what we were doing, we were training a model and built a custom service layer on top of it to drive two-way conversational AI for phone, text, and email. We were engaging, we had over 40,000 businesses talking back and forth on our platform. So we were training how to book, qualify, and overcome objections with AI in the background, either for future innovation of the Connected platform as it was, but end up spinning off and being Sales AI, right? We were just innovating and trying to stay ahead of the curve. Ended up good opportunity to set off with that product and be able to move on. The business, overall just had a high churn. It was an SMB product, and we wanted to be into a more mature space. And so we've seen a good opportunity with Sales AI to be able to go mid-market, low-end enterprise. So we made the all-in bet, made that decision, move forward. But the vision for Sales AI is very simple, right? It's to save time, simplify opportunity, and put AI in your business to actually make money, right? We want to focus on an AI application that drives revenue and actually helps your business make money. A lot of these, one of the issues that I face in my business now is every tech business is saying they're AI. In reality, very few actually are, right? Just because you do a plug-in to ChatGPT does not make you an AI company.
Thank you, because there's such a rush right now for dollars in anything. It was NFTs before, right? And I didn't get into it. AI is something that I was very clear. Like, if you look at my Instagram bio, it says AI, right? Because I know there's a point of it, and I wanted to be like the vet for all these charlatans who are just racing to the top with all these. Now you can make an AI tool and a software no problem and go try and get some money.
Sure.
So so talk about that. So you basically, you decided, hey, we're not going to just be like anything else, right? Like just that. So you went, and by the way, you're phenomenal at catching trends. Like, everything you did Connected was amazing, and it makes sense. Like, at any of the programs, the prospecting message, because I got to see internal that you guys had Connected, and the way it was done was amazing. So to have you guys running that with Sales AI, which all that previous knowledge to load into your module, right? So you guys built out your own LLM module?
So we built a custom service layer. We actually are GCP back office. So we do a lot of Gemini work. So we built a custom model on top of Gemini.
Okay, perfect. And
Yeah.
Gemini different than ChatGPT or?
Yep, it's Google's version of ChatGPT.
Right. Do you think it'll last? Because always, like even with Clubhouse, when Clubhouse blew up, right, which is one of the apps that I blew up on, it's always like 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's like ChatGPT is known now, but it's like the third one always makes it, right? Like there were a lot of different LinkedIn automation ones.
So Gemini's been around since '98 for Google. It's not a new thing. They've been doing, data science, language model building, et cetera, for their large enterprise customers for a long time. It's just becoming more of a public focus for Google to make it more accessible. Our head of engineering worked for Google for over 7 years. 4 years was in supply chain management, and particularly around utilizing Gemini to, streamline cost of operations, analytics, and reporting. And, so Gemini's not going anywhere, right? I mean, it's also Google's language model, right?
Yeah.
One of the largest tech companies in the world. Now, will it be as productized as like a ChatGPT? I don't think so, right? If you're not a Google Suite user, I don't think you'll reap the benefits of Gemini.
Yeah. Let me ask this then, because you've always had a great talent of getting power players. Like your whole list that, like, I remember going and looking at the people with their resume. I actually texted one of the guys that I connected with too. I invited him out here as well too. And he's like, "Oh no, I heard about it. It was great." How can a business owner, now that I'm doing a lot more business partners, JVs, where I'm at, that everybody wants to work with me, I built whatever brand this is, how can you vet somebody really good and like what's the knack of that you have, that's something you can tell somebody in the space as you grow, they're looking for like the right talent?
Yeah, I mean, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
There's so many layers to that, but the general rule of thumb of like, is someone legit, or is this a partnership I should pursue? I'm a big gut guy.
Yeah,
all right,
so.
like, I either feel really good about you or I don't. And there's a lot of small red flags that you can get. I think immediately if someone starts talking about how they have 15 businesses and they know, they name drop 38 people in your first 2 seconds, and they talk about how many gazillions of dollars that they're worth.
Yeah, those people, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, immediately red flag, like move on, right?
Right.
But when I look at partnerships and I look at talent and building my team, it's got to check so many boxes. It's so premeditated. Like,
do you believe? I believe this. I believe entrepreneurs
think
have a golden gut. I believe they can pick people like that and know right away. Like, I thought everybody had this, but
No.
like you can, but they don't. Like, they need certain people.
And the way to build the gut feeling is just being intentional about it.
Yeah.
If everyone's heard, man needs a mission, but like when you're building a business or you're getting into entrepreneurship, like you can't take everyone at face value.
Yeah. Trust but verify.
Yeah, trust but verify,
Yeah.
and you have to just don't rush to do deals for the sake of the money. That's a mistake I made many times. It's like, I feel like I can make a lot of money with this person, so we're going to rush into a deal, right? And what I caught myself doing early on was I had 9 things that I'm now responsible to do.
Yeah.
9 different businesses.
Yeah.
9 different responsibilities, and where focus goes, energy flows, right? And so if you have 9 things you're focusing on, you can never put your energy into actually making something epic. So I say, when it comes down to figuring out who to work with and whatnot, first be very clear of what outcome you're chasing, and be intentional about who you're needing or wanting. I like to look for my weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
I've become good at finance, but like I'm not a CFO. I've become good at finance just because the brain damage of mismanaging finances.
Right. I hear that. Yeah.
So. But so I always have a really strong CFO on the team, right? My CFO now, his name's Anthony, has been through 4 billion-dollar tech exits, SaaS. 22 years experience. Has 2 lifetimes of working in the industry versus mine, right? And you got to be willing, but that was intentional with the hire, right? And I knew its weakness, and I knew that I was going to have to pay up for it too, right? You have to be intentional. You have to be willing to make that bet, right?
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and that's key anyway. And I've always had a pretty golden gut. Not with women. Women sometimes I'd always be like, I knew it was going to be bad, but I'd still go with it anyway. Yeah. And I would be like, man, I was right in the beginning. All right, let's get into sales. So AI calls me all the time, right? They call most people. People hear it, but they made a rule just recently where you have to disclose it, right? I remember because one of my buddies, because I'm in the AI space, I have a lot of connections for it. What's going on? Like, so your software, just so I get it right, it does the voice AI so people can call on it.
We have voice, text, and email all in one platform.
And then what's the whole deal with like when you do it and when someone calls, they have to disclose. So you have to with
hey guys, let's pause real quick.
Yeah, I know. I saw you change that. All right.
We're good.
All right. So sales AI, I'm really excited. Like, I love AI. Like, I literally do. When I first had the software that I had, the prospecting software, we used AI. It would send messages all the time. Made it so much easier, right? To actually have a software that does phone, email, and text, right, with AI, conversational. This is the future right now. There's people using it all the time. Explain to me, like, you guys do the phone calling part of it, right, where you actually have the AI robot call it? Because it happens all the time. Is there anything that people need to know about that? Like, do you have to? You said something about Facebook and like the disclosures, right? So you have an AI company right now. Do you have to disclose that it's AI when you answer the phone?
Yeah. So there's a bit of a moving target on legislation, but the official best practices as of right now that negates having to disclose and/or be super upfront about it is, if the data is exclusively opted in, meaning you ran the Facebook ad, they decided to contact you, they exclusively said you can call me through whatever sources, you can use AI free and clear.
Okay, cool.
Right? But
now, if I capture a lead, because we capture leads on landing pages all the time, and I just put that in, I can then use your software later, load it, and do it anyway, or does that have to be at the time?
Or you can delay it, but you can integrate sales AI to the back end of the funnel and instantly call or instantly text or instantly email, or do all 3.
What do you find the customer relationship to it? Because we were using AI through Go High Level, the little bot on ours. It was funny because AI actually asked the girl out on a date who was in my DMs for it. It was just like, because it was just learning it. And we were, a lot of what people don't understand is you got to load the modules. That's the point that takes time. What's the journey? What do you find for the people using it? Like, is it personal brands using it, or is it big businesses? Who uses it more?
Our target end user is mid-market / smaller enterprise clients. The sweet spot is, 15 to 20 reps at a minimum, established sales process, and established back-end onboarding process. So our top 2 use cases are front-end lead qualification from opted-in lead sources, and then secondary is automating customer support inquiries and providing 24/7 customer support.
Okay, so what's, and where AI is going, right? What's your guys' long-term vision with sales AI? Where you're going?
Yeah, long-term vision is to continue to make AI accessible and usable to make money within businesses at the easiest, point of entry, which is, top of funnel, mid funnel, bottom funnel, right? Addressing each layer of it. But to expand a little bit more on the vision is to create an ecosystem that self-services one another, right? We just started a bit of an acquisition spree and can't go into too many details. A lot of stuff is confidential, but we're going on pretty hefty acquisition spree to take really strong tech companies that a lot of us listening to this would actually know some of these tech companies, and acquire them and turn their revenue into AI and start creating AI offerings and creating a powerhouse, right? And so we finished up a significant raise for the acquisition roll-ups, and so we're looking at creating an umbrella of sales AI, but several companies underneath it. And
just load your IP with them, right? So companies that fell behind and don't have the AI technology, you're gonna be the driving force behind it.
Yeah, and we're gonna avoid like really old software, right? Because that's just a mess to unwind. But
Zoho.
yeah, that's like ancient software. You know, I couldn't imagine what that code base looks like.
Yeah, I know, right?
But you know, and you know, we've got several team members, executive team members that they did this for 10 years plus that has done this strategy, right? So talk about being intentional, right? I wanted next level leadership that has been way above where I've been, revenue wise, acquisition wise, exit wise, all the above, and you know, sold my butt off to be able to help them support this crazy vision we have with sales AI, right? I am going to push very hard to be, when you say, you know, what CRM do you use? It's like, I use, you know, Salesforce, HubSpot, go high level. Like when you say, what AI tools do you use? I want sales AI to be one of those household.
Yeah, so do I,
names.
because of you. I've had multiple people because of my brand come to me, and that's why I messaged you when I texted you. I was like, what do you do? And they told me, and I was so happy you're behind it because it's like a trusted person that I'm like, no, this is cool. And people who've impacted my life, I want to see them win because I know they'll do better, good in the world, right? So that's awesome. So let me ask this. Like AI, I'm fascinated with, right? I'll fall asleep instead of watching everything. I'll watch all stuff about the future. Like singularity, when do you think, like, you think that's possible, that's happening, and all this stuff, like the future of like where we're going?
Yeah, I think people think it's like right around the corner, and we're still years out, right? We will go through the fastest evolution of technology the world has ever seen in this lifetime in the next 5 years, but people think it's happening like tomorrow. And
I think Ray Kurzweil said 2029 now. You're saying 2024.
Yeah, you know, we have a curve going on right now with AI adoption. There's a lot of mistrust because of companies funded in 2020 and 2021 saying they were AI and had all these dreams and, you know, desires to launch these.
Good.
So, you know, we're in this wild adoption curve of mistrust with AI, and you know, the ones that are actually delivering on their promise will prevail over the next 12 months, and they'll stand tall. But a lot of these companies that were, you know, feeding these dreams to the marketplace but could never deliver are quickly dying off, right? And so, you know, I believe if you can just deliver on the promise you're making to the marketplace, you'll have, you know, the utmost respect and support to keep moving forward, right? And so that's what we intend to do, and keep driving forward with innovation and the roll-up strategy.
Yeah, and so when you were doing all these roll-up strategies and pitching and everything, like how did this all come to be? Are you ever shocked when you went from like going selling sneakers, broken family now, to where you are now, beautiful office, Indiana, right? Own a tech company now, acquiring other tech companies. Do you ever look back? Because I do even now, and I'm not, like, I know where I am, like, man, do you ever look back and be like, man, how'd this happen?
Sounds egotistical, but like I knew that I'd be
Dude, same thing with me
in this life. Now, one thing that I look back on is like this happened a lot faster, maybe than what I had anticipated, but I had always strived to be in a position where I'm at today, and you know, I believe I've got a long ways to go and grow. But I'm definitely grateful and humble in the sense that I understand it can all be taken from me tomorrow. But and you know, we don't know when our last breath is going to be either, right? So, but I knew that I'd figure it out somehow, some way.
When did you know? Because I remember when I knew.
Yeah, I think it was defining moment was honestly when I was helping my mom with my sister was fighting cancer, and I was like, I'm gonna figure this out. I don't know how. I don't know, literally the first step, but I'm going to never feel like I feel like today, which was hopeless, not knowing, what was going to happen. And, with my dad all strung out and not in the picture, and then he eventually overdosed as well, like for the cherry on top. Right. And so, but I remember that moment. I was sitting on my futon. I was 15 years old, and I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to feel like I feel like today, which is hopeless, and that the financial pressures are going to cave in,
Yeah, my mom, same deal with me. My mom passed away of breast cancer, no life insurance. Our house was going through foreclosure, my dad's house, that I still send money back home to today. And I knew at that moment, like, I'm not going to wind up like this. Like, that was the same moment, right? And I just didn't know how, and now it's insane to be even where it was. But I just knew at that moment, like, I can't stand it. All right, final 5 questions. I'm actually going to put a bonus in for you because of what I've seen and how you've been a leader. What is the best leadership tip? Because I saw you run a whole team, and you did it in such like a calm manner, right? I have a lot of high energy, right? But you did it in such a calm manner. What's the best leadership advice that you'd give for somebody in a business right now?
That's loaded. Just keeping it concise, because I know we want to work through 5 questions here.
Yeah.
I'd say be intentional about actually caring about your people. A lot of people will act as a leader that they say they care on the surface, but they're not actually going deep and driving forward their team's visions. And servant leadership is knowing that, actually being able to go above and beyond for your team and make those extra bets when they're believing in you to believe in them, right? And so I'd say best advice as a leader is be genuine with your leadership mentality. And if you say you care about your people, actually show it with, maybe you have a team member that's underpaid and maybe not crushing it, and go out of your way to encourage them and make something happen, right? But I'd say just being intentional about your actual, if you say you're a servant leader, be a servant leader and you actually care.
Yeah, no, it was actually one of our team members' birthday today, and we did something today. It's like those things right there, which is key. All right, best money tips. This is the Make More Money podcast. Best money tip for someone, maybe they're a little bit more established then, okay? They're not really just starting out, they're a little bit more established now. What would be the best money tip, with all the success that you have now?
I would say, I think one of the biggest BS lines out there is like every millionaire has like 8 streams of income, right? I think stay focused on what's building the enterprise value for you, and don't rush. I made the mistake, right? You get a little bit of money and rush it out the door, and thinking that you're some hot shot because you're making outside investments. I think the best investment, and no matter what level you're at, is continuing to invest in yourself and learning how to build true enterprise value within your business. It's tax-free, and it's the ability to helps you build an actual reputation around a business, right?
Yeah. No, that's key, because the one thing I do that's boring now is I keep building online businesses, courses for people over and over, branding. It was the same thing when I was coming out there, what it was. Same exact thing when you had me out there, right? And it's boring. And I wanted to pivot to AI at the time because it was the flashy thing. And my mentor said, no, just stay doing that. I want to close a couple 50K deals. Now I have a VA business because I stayed focused on it, right? Kind of the same way we're there. All right, third one is relationship advice. So I know we kind of went over a business partnership. So I'm going to ask, like, how long you been married?
Almost 10 years.
Okay, good. So that's longer than I
Oh, sorry. Married 5 years this year. Together 10 years.
Together 10 years. Okay, cool. So what's best relationship you advice? Be an entrepreneur, always going out for that. We have your lovely wife sitting here all patiently.
Yeah. I would say...
Maybe we should ask her.
Yeah, no. I would say I suck at this, so disclaimer.
Okay.
It's my weakness. But communication...
She's looking to
just watch. Communication is key, and communicating expectations. So simple things like saying you're going to be home at 6:30 and then showing up at 8:30, and that'll get you in trouble real quick. I still make the mistake, all right? But
I was going to say, man.
The way you communicate in business is how you should try to communicate it at the home. And I struggle with this. So it is my kryptonite. But I'd say my biggest piece of advice is clear communication and clear standards. Just like you set standards and expectations for your customers, you should do it for your home.
Right, gotcha. And one question we always ask, and by the way, she's lovely too. She's like, she's
Appreciate
amazing. You got a good girl there. So, what's for the thing that I always would ask, and we're already doing it. We're kind of past this question, but changes in the education system. The education system's dying. I believe we've already changed it since I've done this. Like now, everybody's learning online. I was waiting tables. I was actually at a restaurant, and the lady was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna buy a course online. I'm not going to a college." Right? That's like become the new thing. What's the best? And I think you're already doing it with the education. But what's the best change you would do in the education? I used to be a former teacher before now. What's a change that you think we could do to educate our youth?
Yeah, I think making, how to get into business, more accessible within the actual school systems themselves, even though they want to fight it and they hate it,
Did you have kids?
I have two.
Two? Yeah. So are you like, because like me, I was homeschooled my life, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I got made fun of. But I also think it built some other stuff, right? And the homeschool was like made fun of, but it's like a cool thing now. So do you trust the school system to put your kids in?
No, we're homeschool path for our kids right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. All right, and then the fifth question. Well, we'll just do it here. Where can people find more of you and see you? I know I saw your episode with Brad Lee dropping bombs. A great episode. Where else can people find more of you?
Yeah, salesai.com, and then my Instagram handle is just my name, Devin, Devin, Allen, Allen, last name Johnson, Johnsson, all one word, no underscores or anything tricky. So Instagram, website, those are the top places to connect with me.
All right, Devin, man, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Appreciate it.
You're the man, dude. Thank you for being a part of Changing My Life.
Yeah, no
Guys,
problem.
tune in next week. We were going to have the guy of the X-Pro Domination, Ami, okay? This guy is a servant leader like it is. You do not want to miss this episode, so click like, subscribe, share this video where it is, and share it out to your friends and anywhere you are. If you want to sponsor this podcast, reach out with the link below, and we will give links so you can sponsor in the future. Thanks.